What if I told you there's a common experience amongst everyone in this room that takes up over 1/3 of our lives, yet most of us don't give it a second thought? This experience has the ability to change our lives in a way that almost nothing else can. This experience is sleep. Sleep takes up so much of our lives, which is why it is puzzling that many of us are so ill-informed when it comes to sleep and how to maximize it. Some of us may even consider sleep the enemy, something that stands in the way of us achieving our goals, which is understandable since when we sleep, it appears as though we don't do anything. You've all been told that sleep is important, but many of us don't know exactly what happens during sleep that makes it so important. Without this knowledge, we are less inclined to confront our sleep habits and look to change them. Maybe, if we were more cognizant of what exactly happens during our sleep, we'd be more likely to want to improve them. When I first looked to improve my sleep, my biggest problem was finding the motivation to commit myself to it and convincing myself that it was worth the sacrifices. Eventually, I decided that it was, because the science shows sleep is immensely important to our everyday happiness and competence. The way we feel when we're awake is in large part dependent on what happens when we sleep. Now, the truth is, it's not easy to get a good night's sleep. As a high school student, things like school, homework, stress, even basic human nature are all impeding our ability to get a good night's sleep. But sleep is merely an activity. And just like every other activity, we have the ability to develop skills and master it. I want to take you on a journey to discover how to get a perfect night's sleep. Well, it may seem obvious that sleep is beneficial. Even without fully grasping what sleep does for us, we're all familiar with sleep's consequences. When we get a good night's sleep, we feel sharper and more alert. When we don't sleep well, we feel groggy and distant. But something you may not be familiar with are the unconscious processes that occur in our sleep. Your brain is actually equally as active, if not more active in our sleep than it is when we're awake. Simply put, your brain can do things when we sleep that it just can't do when we're awake. So, what do our brains do when we sleep? Well, it does a lot of things actually, but I want to focus on just a few. First, it creates and consolidates memory. This means your brain is busy cementing information we've acquired throughout the day for us to better recall later. See, when awake, we are constantly being bombarded with new information. Every second we have to take in and process something new. When we sleep, we turn off the external world. Our brain gets a chance to examine all the information we were previously bombarded by, and we start to consolidate it into long-term memory. Now, this idea is particularly important for a high school student, as getting a good night's sleep could make the difference on how well you do on your next test, how receptive you are in class, or how well you can recall information. According to a Harvard study, if you pull an all-nighter and don't sleep, your ability the next day to learn information could reduce by up to 40%. In other words, sometimes the best thing you can do if you want to better remember and learn information during the day is to simply sleep. Second, your brain makes creative connections. See, sleep gives the brain a unique opportunity to just wander. When it's allowed to wander, it can discover amazing things you just can't uncover when you're awake. But don't take my word for it, though. Many famous and creative people have said that they've gained insight into a problem they were facing while asleep. For example, Paul McCartney discovered the tune for his song Yesterday while asleep. Mary Shelley's Frankenstein was inspired by a dream she had while asleep. Sleep can be a valuable tool to many creative people, and especially helpful to those who may be going through any type of writer's block or just hoping to open up their minds a little bit and get inspired. So now we know a little bit more about how sleep helps us, but one question still remains. How do we get a better night's sleep? Well, like many of you, I've always been aware that sleep is important, but I never really knew to what extent, and I could never crack the code on how to get a good night's sleep. So for 2 months, I researched all the little tips and tricks I could on how to get better sleep, and none of it helped. I was looking for the easiest way out, and the easiest way possible to achieve this goal without putting in too much work or effort, because I was busy and a little bit lazy. But eventually I kept getting poor sleep, and I kept feeling miserable during the day, so I decided that there needed to be a change. Unfortunately, the question of good sleep does not have an easy answer. And it does, in fact, require a lot of commitment and effort. But commitment can be a scary and intimidating thing. So I realized that the best way that you can commit yourself to sleep is to seek a greater understanding and appreciation for it. That way, your efforts seem a bit more meaningful. So, if you want to get better sleep, I urge you not to look for the easy way out, or to worry about the little details and tricks, but rather seek to understand how sleep can help you. Sleep has endless benefits, and I have only mentioned a few. So investigate and explore these benefits, and committing yourself to sleep will become a little bit easier. Thank you.